Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you know what that sound means. I'm in the paddock F1. Greeny and the Cheese. We've made it the 880-mile trek from Bahrain to Saudi Arabia for round 2 of the 2024 F1 season. On the banks of the Red Sea, we're racing Jeddah. Jeddah is the second largest city in Saudi Arabia. It is also the gateway city to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. And while you're there, maybe check out King Fahad's fountain. Check out the Faki Aquarium. Do some fine shopping at a couple of those fancy malls they got over there. But this ain't no travel show. This is an F1 show. And we're racing the Jeddah Corner Street Circuit. 3.84 miles, 27 corners, 3 DRS zones. It's the second longest on the F1 calendar. 27 meters longer than Las Vegas. How about that? Nipping it by a little bit there. You give it the full beans for 75% of your lap. Oh, and the spice is nice for Red Bull as they dominate the second race of the season, again bringing home a 1-2. Max's 9th race win in a row dating back to last year. Charles rounds out the podium. But the story of the day is the 18-year-old Bearman, after getting the call right 2 hours before FP3, ends up finishing 7th in the second Ferrari, filling in for Carlos. Get well soon, Carlos. But as always, we're caffeinated, we're medicated. Greeny, good day, sir.
Good day, and of course, as always, there's about 380,000 different podcasts out there. You chose ours today. Thank you very much. We beyond appreciate that. The Bearman and Ferrari end up being the story of the day. Obviously, Red Bull, and I believe it's also Max Verstappen's 100th podium. Maybe we should
100th podium, yeah.
Give a little applause to that as well. So a tremendous day, a tremendous milestone day. We had those 4 Brits there running back to back to back to back, and Bearman and Lewis and Lando and George Russell. Oscar Piastri comes in 4th.
Yeah, good drive.
Very good drive today. So a good drive for the kids, that's for sure. A less than stellar drive for others, especially Stake, who ends up in the back of the pack. And Williams looked like a little bit of a mess out there today. And but yeah, away we go. Again, Max Verstappen winning once again. He looks absolutely unstoppable. Second time here in 4 years that Max Verstappen has taken the checkered flag. And it was really, again, all about the Bearman. When you're talking about a situation where Max Verstappen's going to basically rule be the headline potentially every single week, it's nice to have and refreshing to have something else, especially coming out of Ferrari. You just missed there in your top 6, coming in 7th, so I'm sure you were a little pissed off about that. But nonetheless, sum it up, Max Verstappen, 100th podium, Bearman, and all that good stuff. Cheese, how was that race for you?
It was, to be honest, it was kind of as expected. Everybody knows Red Bull's far and above everybody else. Ferrari's pretty much the second best car out there. I mean, most people in the paddock will say so. And then it's, the fight between McLaren, Mercedes, and Aston. Aston really didn't have the straight line pace compared to the McLaren. This track definitely suited the McLaren better with the high-speed corners. Next race in Australia might not be so much since they struggle in the lower speed. So, they definitely have to try and maximize their points here. Mercedes, there's issues there. There's issues in Mercedes. I mean, both drivers will say it. I mean, we talked about it, off air as when we communicate, and it was like, even yesterday's gambling show. I mean, they just didn't look that great in practice. You didn't really trust that they were going to move forward at all in the race. So definitely something that Merck's really got to seriously work on. But, story of the day is the Bearman. I mean, to get the call 2 hours before FP3 when you're on your way to race the FP2, sprint race, and then you got to get over here and you're stepping in for Carlos for the rest of the weekend. To miss out on, Q3 by, thousandths of a second behind Lewis, and then to put the car in 7th, that's absolutely brilliant. That's brilliant. And probably, not even probably, most likely, pretty much guarantees him a spot on the grid somewhere next year. Probably in a Haas.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. As he was saying, as we mentioned in last night's episode, if you missed it, go check it out. Bearman was Ollie B. What are we calling him? He needs some kind of name because he's going to be a little bit of a legend here. 18 years old, coming out, one of the youngest drivers to ever come out.
Youngest driver to ever drive for Ferrari.
How
about that? How about that?
And Ferrari has been around every single year in Formula One, so that's a pretty big deal right there. Just overall, but just being 18 years old and sitting in a Formula One car and being able to get points is just an unbelievable feat. I don't think the average
Make moves.
understands.
I had his cam up on my F1 TV the entire race, and he drove a solid race. Solid race. Only thing I saw in the post race that he said is that probably should have planned his move better with Nico, so he could have got by him quicker. And then he probably would have been possibly even fighting for that 6th spot with George Russell, because his pace was pretty much on Russell's pace, or even a 10th or 2 quicker than George Russell at times during that final stretch, especially with the, early safety car that came out that definitely probably didn't play in his hands as much to be able to, have the knowledge to maintain his tires better, to have, better tires near the end of the race, but just had great pace even to stay ahead of Lando and Lewis when they made that late stop and threw on the softs. Then they were charging for him in a bit, but they fell off, and he just held strong as 7th, which was absolutely brilliant drive. Brilliant drive. That's more than you could ever expected, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, he'd want to be on the podium or something like that, or win. I mean, that's, every racing car driver, every racing car driver would want to be. But that's unrealistic. I mean, just to get points in your debut, he's actually 10th in the driver's standings right now. How about that?
How about apples?
How about that?
Like apples. Because Bearman is top 10. That will not last long. Most likely Carlos Sainz will be back for Australia. You never know. But you got 2 weeks to get to Australia. We'll see what happens there. If not, I think Ferrari is not in the worst possible position, as you could have been losing Carlos Sainz for potentially another race. With Bearman, I think maybe the average Ferrari fan might prefer, even though Carlos Sainz just got a podium. So both Ferrari drivers, how about that, made podiums in the first 2 races. So you had Carlos last week and Charles Leclerc this week, as well as Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, 5th consecutive time on the front row. Even though Leclerc did not finish top 2 as he started. How do you think of Charles Leclerc's drive today? Getting podium, holding off Oscar Piastri, who fought hard all day. You got to be so impressed with him. Fernando Alonso definitely seemed to have some issues, as you mentioned before, with Aston Martin's issues. And I mean, losing your partner there pretty early on, because as I said last night, Lance Stroll will crash, because that's what Lance Stroll does, especially on courses like this. And I was dead right. What was that, like lap 12? And not even before.
Not even. It was like lap 8?
Not even.
7, 6, 7, 8, something like that, I think.
Not even. And just the fact that nobody else actually hit a wall the entire time. I know there was a lot of walls hit during practice, but only one. Only one. And it was Lance Stroll, which you have an 18-year-old out there who didn't hit the wall, and a veteran driver that did. So I know we get on Lance Stroll all the time, but he deserves it. So
I mean,
that's all I'm going to say about him.
It happens that, especially at that track, somebody does that every single year.
Every time.
Every single year. That corner is it's actually kind of a little bit of a weird corner. The wall kind of like jets out at you a little bit at the end there. So, and you're going millimeter precision, through this fast streets on this jet street circuit. So it happens every year. So, you make that little millimeter. I mean, happened to George Russell in Singapore last year at the end. I mean, this thing's kind of just, and it's not even that you even hit it hard. It's that you just hit it at that right little angle, the right angle, and it just breaks that suspension. And you're done.
And you're done. And it does happen every year. But to be completely honest, I mean, for Lance Stroll, he has to minimize all these situations.
Well,
because,
yes.
He has not had a good couple of years here. So he definitely needs to minimize those. Definitely not a glorious day for him as he skidded right across the Jetta logo and crashed out right there in a perfect picture of Lance Stroll's day. And then you had, of course, Pierre Gasly, who just conked out with the Alpine. Definitely another miserable day for Alpine. We'll see if they can turn it around. But again, biggest story of the day, Ollie Bearman. Hopefully we'll see him again this year at some point. Maybe in a Haas sooner than later. Maybe that's our switch this year. I know we talked preseason about the potential of someone getting bumped off the grid between now and the end of the season. But Haas definitely... Haas races well here, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about all that and later. Congratulations again, Max Verstappen's 100th podium. Feels like he just showed up to Formula One yesterday, and now he's 100 podiums in. So really an absolutely amazing accomplishment. Sergio Perez second, Charles Leclerc, giddy up ponies, stay on the podium. If you get like I said preseason, if you have a pony on the podium 20 out of 23 or 24 races this year, you're going to be a happy man. So you're two for two.
You finished second. Yeah,
you're two for two on
finish second.
You're 2 for 2 on podiums. I don't think Ferrari fans could be looking for any more than that. Maybe a second there.
You can't expect any more than that. You can't expect it anymore.
No. 3rd, 4th last week, and 3-7 this week with your number 2 driver's appendix exploding.